welcoming speech.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the 2020 IEEE 5 minutes FYP competition.
Okay, for the next participant is Haroon Amar bin Khalil Azlan from University.
To convey a message. Audiences prefer watching a video rather than reading. So, if you want to convey a message, creating a video is the most efficient way to do it.
Activation of deep neural network in obstacle identification. Foreign objects in the way of the local
At
objects.
poor to zero air ventilation, they trap unnecessary heat, which can transfer into our living
From SSNA Power Consultancy, followed by Mr. Muhammad Asrul bin Muhammad Shahid Ali from Petroleum National Berhad, Dr. Aida Mustapha from UTHM, and our final judge is Dr. Bazila A. Tadi from UniKL. For today's competition,
our government also had 150 million ringgit.
Had been relying on fossil fuels too much, and currently the amount of fossil fuels left in our country had been depleting significantly. What they need to do is just speak with the converter. The main component I have used is the voice recognition system, ITIL. Then there's also the perception that science is hard. The education is more than just reading and listening.
When both surfaces detects even the slightest temperature difference that oppose the other, electrical power will be generated.
We was able to apply the knowledge that has learned previously, scan images, and detect the disease.
plantation site, where the farmers can have a clear direction to travel and to harvest the fruits with the shortest distance. The suggested
On a daily basis, whereby it directly links for better wound care management conducted by government hospital even at the peak drought.
Highly sensitive to detect.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the video. Okay, we can watch that video later. Okay, everyone can hear my voice. Okay, loud and clear.
All right, it's clear.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Okay, so I hope everyone is fresh, even though you are, I mean, like most of us, I mean, like the speaker especially, just after work, okay, 5 p.m. Okay, so I hope all of the students are also ceria lah, okay, petang-petang in this evening. So please grab a coffee, okay, while you're listening to the talk later on. Okay, so for today, okay, I am Linda, the general co-chair for 5M FYP. And so today with us, okay, we will have our special speaker, Dr. Ahmad Salahuddin, Muhammad Harrithudin, okay, which he is currently a senior lecturer at the Department of Aerospace Engineering, UPM. He has though a number of courses on astronautics, engineering and mathematics at the university for almost 7 years now. He was the national coach for Young Persons World Lecture Competition 2019, leading one of UPM students, Lam Jiayong, to win the second place of the Young Persons World Lecture Competition in 2019, beating competitors from all around the world. So we have Lam Jiayong last year, okay, giving talk to the participants. So today we have his Sifu, okay. So okay, so storytelling is the art to tell stories in order to engage an audience. But how are we going to tell stories with numbers and charts? So in this talk today, Dr. Ahmad Salahuddin will give you some tips on how to turn your data into stories and how to speak so that people will listen to you, and how to deliver a presentation that will make people remember. Okay, so without further ado, I will pass the session to Dr. Salahuddin. So are you ready, Doctor?
I am ready.
Okay, guys, so and you can also drop your question in the chat box, or we can have or after the session, you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly to Dr. Salahuddin. Okay, Doctor, the stage is yours.
All right. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. Let me share my screen first. So today is the art of storytelling. Why do you need to storytell? Because no one wants to hear you if you present your report. If you read your article as it is, no one's going to hear you. Oh, by the way, can you all hear me and see my screen?
Yes. Yes, clear.
Okay. All right. Is my connection unstable or did this just happen just now? Hopefully it's not. Okay. So first and foremost, I would like to show you, okay, before we get into deep with the the art of storytelling, I want to show you 3 examples from I think last year's 3 minutes
Fine.
thesis. So this example is from Nur Elina Abdurrahman Hugh. She was the winner of last year competition. Okay. Now I don't want to just show you this video, but I want you to watch the way she talks. Okay. Just find a way that, because she's the winner, so that there must be something in her presentation that captures the attention of the judges. So let's watch this and then see what's so good about
In
her
schools, you
presentation.
use the augmented reality.
We are surrounded by science, and as time passes by, technology will keep advancing. With that being said, we will always be in need of experts in the science and technological field. However, there is a significant downward trend in Malaysian students pursuing STEM. The former Malaysian Minister of Education, Dr. Mazli Malik, addressed that in 2019, only 44% of students were enrolled in the science stream, as compared to 48% in 2012. When Malaysia ranked below the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) average in the 2012 Program for International Student Assessment, 11 shifts have been identified by the ministry in order to improve the Malaysian education standards. And although there were improvements, Malaysian students who sat for the exam in 2018 still scored lower than the OECD average. Now, this could be due to the traditional way of teaching, making students passive during lecture, leading them to having little initiative and low problem-solving skills.
Okay, I think that is quite enough to show what stands out in the presentation, especially the way she talks, the way she represents numbers and using the hand gestures, and also her facial expression. If you notice that, when she was delivering some bad news, her facial expression changes. When she is telling you some good news, her facial expression changes also. This is actually really important in making people listen to you. If you don't have this, what I call dynamics, then probably your whole presentation is gonna be boring. So, and then I will show you this one right here. Is it's from one of our organizers as well. And
good news for those who underline while reading.
Here in this video, look at the way how the presenter opens the presentation, the 3-minute thesis presentation. So you can look at this, yeah? Listen to the how she opens it, how she captures the attention first.
Have you ever been bitten by mosquitoes? Literally, they suck. And then they bite, they make us itch. But more than that, they transmit deadly diseases across the globe, including dengue. In a year, 390 million people fall victim to dengue. That's like 16 times the population of Australia today. And 70% of deaths caused by the virus are due to one reason: a delay in detection. I was a victim of dengue myself. Horrible experience. I had a high fever for 3 days, and the doctors, like the mosquitoes, took my blood again and again. And it was not until the 4th day that they could finally confirm I had the infection and start proper treatment. But by then, I was already too weak to even drink on my own. I had to be put on drips for a whole week. I felt helpless and afraid, but the worst part was having to witness other victims in my ward succumb to dengue just because they were not treated in time.
So you see, the first minute is just spending time on the problem. And then she was just, making it worse and worse. It's, I had dengue, and then what's worse is the doctor only, found out about 4 days, and then there are other patients as well. So bad news upon bad news upon bad news. And then she connect the story with the audience. The audience in this case is the Australians, basically, because she was, I think, representing University of Queensland. So she was addressing to the Australians. So she brought that example of story. Now, this is an example of how you open an example. You can you can open your presentation many ways, but this is one example. In the next example, I want to show you, this is also from Rosanna Stevens. This is a genius use of slides. You watch just now, yeah? So you can see this is the slides, okay? Full of pictures, and then we can see the slides again here. So this is the slide from Yasmin, and I want to show you a creative use of slides. Here we go.
Rosanna Stevens from the ANU College of Arts and Social Sciences. And the title of Rosanna's talk tonight is Now You See It.
It might seem as though I've started speaking with a blank PowerPoint slide
This is
behind me,
the
but there are
slide.
actually a bunch of things on this slide. You just can't see them yet. To your right is a Ferrari I drew myself in white. To your left is a soy latte in a white takeaway cup. And in the middle is a home, I drew myself in white, a home among the gum trees. Lots of plum trees, clothesline out back, veranda out front, and an old rocking chair. It's interesting how you can't see things when the context they're surrounded by makes them seem invisible. Suddenly this slide full of nothing is full of white stuff. You just needed help to see it. Here's something else you can't see. This slide is actually a black slide with a white rectangle pasted over the top of it. Over 200 years ago, white people arrived and settled over the top of already established Aboriginal life. And colonisation happens today, the settled way we are encouraged to live, the ways we are encouraged to learn and consume, how often we are encouraged to wash, and the ways we think about and use nature are actually pretty white.
Okay, so that's a genius slide. I'm not asking like everyone to come up with just blank slide and then wing through your presentation. But what's the point here is this. Well, she was explaining something on how people sometimes watch other cultures from white people lens, because this is one of the big topics in Australia, and Australian National University, ANU, is pretty big on their research on Aboriginals, the people in Australia. So she uses the slide as a weapon, not merely to explain what she was talking about, but to raise curiosity, one thing, probably make people want to listen to her rather than reading the slide. And this is really important, one of the most important things that you should learn from today's lesson. So today, we're going to look into basically just two things. You want to tell the story, so you need to learn how to speak, and you need to learn how to visualize too. Okay, so here, how to do that, then it's just, you got to tell the truth, tell it with a story, and tell a story with pictures. This is pretty much what you're doing. Now, before that, well, it might seem easy. It might seem like ABC. How do I tell the truth? I mean, if you tell the truth, people can tell. If you're just presenting your work just to show that you are working your behinds off to come up with this complicated graphs or whatever, that's probably, the judge is probably going to see it. Okay. Let's say you have the truth. You want to tell it, you cannot tell it like a report. You know, flat. Today I did this, and then we did this, and then next we did this, and then next we did this. It's boring. It might be useful for lecture, for example, but people will, it's not memorable. People will forget it. So first, when you want to find the truth, okay, truth on its own, it's kind of boring. So what I want you to do, if you want to find the truth in your stories, try to look at your research, look at your presentation, whatever you're going to present next in the 5MT, FYP, and then try to find a way to connect your work to a bigger picture. Let's say, for example, just now, you know, Yasmin was presenting her studies on dengue detector, okay? And the way she connect to the bigger picture is, well, she brought the ideas of the story of how she succumbed to dengue fever and how Australians are also connected to, you know, also, you know, susceptible to dengue fever. So try to find a bigger picture. Try to relate to your audience, okay? Let's say you cannot do that. Let's say, ah, man, that's too hard for me to try to think about. Okay, let me try to give you a question here. What could we do with, or what could we build, okay, with your findings? All right, try to ask yourself this, and then probably you can get some kind of, you know, story that can relate to the audience. Let's say you're working on some materials, for example, complicated materials, fiber from palm oil roots, whatever. I'm just just going off tangent here. But think about how that fiber or that material can benefit mankind, for example. Think of such story, yeah. And then when you want to create a story, you got to create curiosity. Find something that make people ask, you know, hey, what's that? Something like that, you know. Or you can say, you can ask yourself, what is the most unexpected things that you find out from your research, from your study? What is the most unexpected thing? I mean, you've done your project for quite a, you know, number of months, years sometimes. There must be something that is kind of unexpected, interesting. Focus on that. Try to bring that out to make a story out of it. Okay. And then lastly, the picture. All right. Again, like as the exact example I showed you just now, pictures doesn't always have to explain. It doesn't always have to explain things. Okay, because if you fall into this trap, then your slide is going to be like a, you know, brochure, a pamphlet, like probably a page out of a textbook. No, it doesn't have to be that. You got to keep it simple. One of the reasons is sometimes you can see the slide is quite small. Yeah, sometimes you can't even read what's on the slide. So instead of focusing on explaining everything from your speech later on into that slide, think about other ways what you can do with pictures. You can use pictures to raise curiosity, like that Rosanna just now, raise curiosity. Or what's this? Speak and visualize, yeah. Or you can give a vision of what's the perfect world, and then you are providing that solution to that perfect world. You can use the vision. You can show people happy, happy people together. I'll show you some examples later on. But when you include photos of people, I mean, it's gonna affect the some of the emotion of the judges. So use that. Or you can also just post pictures of problems. If you're talking about environment, for example, or you want to talk about wastes, for example, plastic waste is a problem. So your whole picture could be just that problem. You can show a place where it's so dirty and then what you're gonna do about it. Okay, so you use pictures to your advantage. Don't only use pictures to explain everything in your lecture or in your speech later on, because it's not going to be efficient, and you will fall into the trap of trying to you will over explain things first and foremost. Okay, so that is basically what let me see if I can move this. Okay, so that's basically, if I were to give just a few seconds, few minutes a presentation on what you have to do, then that's it. But of course, there's more to it. Yeah. So that's the 3 things that you should think about. Tell the truth, tell your truth is stories, and tell the story with pictures. Okay, just one single picture. All right. So now I want to go, before you do your presentation, before you craft your speech, before you draw your pictures, find pictures to accompany you with the 5MT presentation. I want you to correct your mindset first. Okay. One thing I told you about the truth. When you start with the truth, people usually can see it. Okay. So that's one thing I think I've explained this here. All right. Another thing is confidence. Confidence is the best outfit. How to get confidence? You got to practice. Okay. But how to get confidence? You got to watch others. This is very important. Always learning. Always try to find some 3MT videos on YouTube. Watch their style. Watch how they use their hand gestures. How do they express their feelings, for example. Always be watching others, and then from there you can see that usually the winners are the most confident ones. Okay, hold on. Okay, and then the next thing is, usually when you know most about your presentation. Okay, don't worry about other people knowing more than you do. Usually in a presentation, in the audience, you will be the one who knows most about your research. So don't worry about that. Tell your research, tell your project, tell your studies, tell what you're doing with confidence, because you know most about what you're doing, no one else. And it's because you've done the work. You've done the work. Okay. And then some other things that I would like to also mention, that wear something nice, something comfortable, wear comfortable. Okay. Sometimes I know some students are not used to wearing, coats and blazers, and then they show up in a presentation with, full suit, with, big ties and something bow tie, and they're not used to it. So it becomes awkward for them. So wear something comfortable, but looks nice. And then you'll be more confident in presenting your presentation later on. Okay. And another thing is your posture. Watch your posture. Oops. This is another important thing. Posture. If you slouch like this, you're presenting like this, or presenting down towards your laptop camera, whatever, it affects your confidence. If you don't believe me, you can read some of the research on this one here. People who want to appear confident, they pretend, they fake their confidence like this. This is my presentation. This is the best. People sometimes confidence are contagious. They feel your confidence, they think you're good. So use that psychological advantage right there. Use great postures. Don't ever underrate posture. Good posture always displays confidence. And of course, practice and times until you memorize your speech. Memorize on top of your head. You know what you're going to talk about. Don't just wing it on the day. It's not going to work that way. Okay? So that's about mindset, what you have to, how to fix your mindset before anything going on. All right, so I'm just going to. So any questions so far? Well, okay. So tell the truth, tell your stories, tell the story with pictures, and then correct your mindset. Okay, so now back to our original story. How to tell a story. Story is simple. Just use these three formula. You set up, conflict, resolution. For example, you've heard of the story about Sang Kancil and Buaya, yeah? Sang Kancil and Buaya. So set up. Sang Kancil lapar. Across the river, he saw this, I think trees full of fruits, delicious fruits, whatever, across the river. And he wants to eat them. Conflict. The river is full of crocodiles, ferocious crocodiles who wants to eat whatever is jumping inside the river, including the kancil itself. Resolution. Kancil tricks the crocodile to line up across the river so that he can jump on their backs across the river. Set up, conflict, resolution. Again, another example of a setup, conflict, resolution. Set up. You're playing football. Conflict. Someone took the ball from you. Resolution. You chase the ball back from that guy. Or you get mad. Ugh. Or you go to somewhere else. That's a resolution. Okay. So when you're telling your story, frame that 3 minutes to 5 minutes, set up conflict resolution. Example just now, Dr. Yasmin's on the mosquito thing. Set up. Dengue is so bad. It's worst. It's the worst thing ever. It's not only worse for me, it's worse for everyone else. Set up. Conflict. The doctor can only, could only detect it for 4 days. It's too late. Sometimes, I became so weak. Sometimes I, risk death. Conflict. Resolution. Here's my invention, whatever. Here's what I studied. Here's what I found out. Resolution. So when you look at your project later on, think about the setup. Think about the conflict, the one that makes people, this is a problem. We need to solve it. And then your resolution is from your research. A good thing I would like to show you here is this. To tell a story, yeah? You set up a story, you give an overview of what you're going to talk about. Okay. Sorry, I was referring to my notes here. All right, so you start with a wind up. You start with a quick summary of what we're going to do, a quick summary of what is happening today. What's happening today? Okay, or where we are today. And then this is the hurdle. Oh, this is the problem. We can't do this because of this. This is a problem. So bad. So bad, not only bad for me, bad for the nation. It costs millions of dollars, whatever. When you tell about the resolutions, give options. Option number one, the bad option. Yeah, give the bad option. First, present. Yeah, we can solve dengue by killing all the dengue in the world, all the mosquitoes in the world. We can use super pesticide. We can use super pesticide and kill all the mosquitoes in the world. Now, this is bad because there's no such pesticide, and also it's impossible to kill all the mosquitoes. So you come up with your option, which is the best. Now, here's a better option. I've spent months studying on this one. I came up with my own invention to whatever. All right. So do this trick. When you're presenting your resolution, present the bad option first, but don't make it hilariously bad lah. I mean, make it like, I gotta think, maybe this or that, you know. But make sure that it's obvious that that's bad, because this what you're doing is you are gonna make your option look so much better. If you're just presenting your resolution, your solution, your invention, whatever, people can't compare it to anything else. So do this strategy, and I think it's going to be more effective. Okay, good job. Okay. All right. So any questions so far? You might have different stories, but I think mostly it will come down to those three: setup, conflict resolution. Okay. Setup, conflict resolution. Let me keep it here so that we got our notes there. We got here, we got our notes there. All right, fine. Okay. So if you're looking for a more detailed setup, conflict resolution timeline, or not timeline, strategy, flowchart, whatever, you can look at this. Okay. So you can imagine, I hope this drawing here, which I got from this great book, Show and Tell by Dan Rome, be using it for a lot of presentation. So it's basically the same thing. You set up you do the wind up first, set up the scene, set up the scene. You can make up your own reality. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a true story, although I told you about the truth just now. But in this case, you want to create a problem so that they can see what you're solving. Create a wind up, and then you explain the problem. This is the problem. All right. And then probably you could vision, let's say the wind up right now, here today in 2021, we are using, each family in Malaysia are producing, 1,000 kilograms of plastic waste each year. That's the wind up, the hurdle. We got nowhere to throw this plastic waste, and they are not recyclable. That's the hurdle. The vision is you picture a perfect world. Perfect world is where all this waste, plastic waste, can be used for something else, so that it's kind of look like it's recyclable. But basically you don't just dump it in the ocean, for example. So put the vision in there. Here comes the options. Present something bad, present the best one. Okay. And then next, the close. Show why your option is best option. Just now you're just presenting the options. Your studies is better, your work is better, your invention is better than this lame option here. And then here you show why. Why is it better? Because my studies, you see is 30% increase in efficiency. You can probably, you want to put out some numbers. Okay. And then here you show how we can do this. Show how. Okay. Don't spend too much time explaining on this. Probably 2-3 sentences are enough. Okay. And then the hook is where you end everything. You say, you end with the added benefit. Not only this can also become an economics, whatever you close. Or if we do this right, then we can have a better world. I'm just giving you like a general, positive closing here. So that's the hook. You can say, if this is right, if you can do this right, then the whole world is going to be a better place. Thank you. Just one sentence. Think of a hook, one sentence that's going to end it with a punch. How to end it with a punch? I'll show you. I'll give you some references later. Okay. So basically, this is it. Wind up, hurdle, your vision of a perfect world, options, lame one, yours, and then show why is this the best, and show how do you want to be the best, and then end it with a hook. Thank you. Seems easy, right? If you see this, Okay, you can probably just 1 or 2 sentences, 2, 3 sentences in each of this. So this is basically how you can craft your stories. This is what I call this the pitch, because it's like a pitching, pitching a baseball. And also this has been used as the formula to deliver a 3-minute pitch or a 5-minute pitch. People don't want to listen to the whole report, so they just want the results and everything. So use this formula. Okay, so that's a more, I would say, refined or more sophisticated version of setup, conflict, and resolution. You can use that also. Okay, and next thing is how to speak. Before that, I think I need to stop and then ask you a question. Do you have any questions so far? So far, we have discussed about 4 things. How to tell a story, basically, truth, tell it with a story, tell it with story with pictures, and then talk about mindset, how to prepare yourself for the competition, how to prepare yourself for the speech, how to tell the story, set up conflict resolution, and the pitch. So let me just give you about 20 seconds if you can have any question from the audience.
Guys, any question? If you have any, you can just unmute yourself.
Yep, you can just type also if you can. Or it's better if you speak up because you're practicing anyway, right? Don't be shy.
Or do we want to pick anyone?
No. I rather they have their own initiative to ask question. If you don't, I can just continue. I'll wait another 10 seconds. It's okay.
So Zahida, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, unmute yourself and ask question.
Dr. Salam, may I ask a question?
Sure.
How do students who are not good at English write their script? Do you have any tips for that?
Okay. My advice is first you go to YouTube and you like I said, watch others. You go to YouTube, you find 3MT on YouTube. So what you do is when you turn on when you play the video, there's a transcript. Okay. For example, this one here, let's say this one here. So I think, how do I move this thing? All right. So you can actually, you click on this one. Click on this one. You can open transcript here. Okay. What it will do, it will just, basically the subtitles, whatever is in here is already typed out here. All right. Copy this somewhere else and then read it out loud yourself. Okay. So let me try. Okay. For example, here, I can say, what does it start? Okay. Where does it start? Okay. So it starts here. So I just, read it out loud. See, it might seem as though I've started speaking with a blank PowerPoint slide behind me, but there are actually a bunch of things on this slide. You just can't see them yet. To your right is a Ferrari I drew myself in white. To your left is not something like that. This or not, we will not only practice your pronunciation of certain words, and also you can just go back and forth from the video and see how she pronounced the word, but also it helps you in creating your own script later on. Remember, I told you to to have your script memorized. So that's a good way to do that. You can pick any speech actually, and then try to recite it from just to read it out loud, and then practice your diction, pronunciation on that one. So don't be worried because you're not doing it, you're not improvising, you're not improvising. So it's okay. Like what I'm doing right now, I'm improvising my talk today. So that's why sometimes I stop when looking out for words, whatever. But in the actual competition, you are not improvising. Do not improvise. Have the transcript on you, memorize it, and then deliver it with excellence, whatever. Okay. So, okay, Zahida, could you, that one just now was Nadiah, yeah, Tanya. So that's my advice. I think that's the simplest one you can do. Watch others, try to copy others. If you practice enough, you can come up with your own, that could be your strength. Okay. I will also explain on how to speak later on. Okay. Do we have to provide the statistics from the result, like the accuracy, etc., or can we just say how a result is going to be? Okay. Okay, this is a good question, because sometimes you want to show results and then you want to speak out the numbers, right? For example, you can say in 2010, 86.6% of such and such produces about 3.3 milliliter of such and such. But 5 years later, 36.6% reduction of 20 degrees Celsius. Can you see the problem there? The problem is human minds, they cannot process numbers that well when you speak it out. 33.3, you got to write it down actually. If you don't believe me, can you actually write, do you remember the numbers I talked about just now? The units and stuff like that? 5 years later, you got to do math in your brain, I would suggest when you speak out, when you want to, in your transcript, in your script later on, minimize the numbers. And also all those, complicated jargons, like some chemical compounds have really difficult names, yeah? Avoid that. And let's say, just say DNA instead of, what is DNA? Yeah, deoxyribonucleic acid. Instead of that, pick a simpler word and keep the numbers to a minimum. You can say it's more accurate by 5%. That's it. You don't pile up the numbers. That's what I'm trying to say, because it's really hard for people to get numbers. Another thing, if you want to show numbers, you want to show difference, for example, you can just use graphs. You can say, all right, here, this is before, this is after. When people see this difference here, they can already know it's already more than what was before. So use the visual if you can, rather than reporting there's a 58.8% increase in this back in 2010, and there's a difference 10 years ago. It's really hard for us to process what you're talking about. But if you visualize it with pictures, even something like this, it's just so much better. People can see the difference already. That's why pie charts are so useful. Pie charts, okay? So little, a bit more, but not much. But the rest of it, oh, so big, so important. So use charts at your advantage. So Zaida, okay, eh? I think you can probably tell us later on, like how it's going to look out for you.
Doctor,
Yeah.
can I ask how to control our nervous? Because when nervous come, our idea we run away.
I see. That's why I say lah, rather than improvise, write it down. Write it down, practice it until you memorize each part in your script, where to stop, where to emphasize, where to change your facial expression. This is bad. Hey, this is good. Something like that. Memorize what's in the text. That's going to help you. I usually have sometimes from time to time, people invite me to become MCs, master of ceremonies at majlis ke apa ke. There's no way I can improvise. Believe me, I've been doing this for quite a number of years in the university, but there's no way I can improvise. I always depend on the text. I have it in my hand, I read it out loud, but I put the markings of where to stop, where to emphasize, where to slow down. Do that. You will get nervous if you want to improvise. And like I said just now, wear something nice, look good. You see yourself in front of the mirror, you think you look good, you're gonna be good. And also posture. If you do it like this, today I'm gonna present my research that I've been doing for a couple of years. It will show. Present it like this. All right, this is my slide. I've done a good job on this one. You should see all my results. It's going to be a better world after this. It shows because I think I've seen one. I think BBC's research or something. They show it on TV last time, and then they say, people who kind of fake their confidence, they do better. Believe me, yeah. So it's a psychological trick. Okay. So,
Doctor,
oh yeah, yep.
Doctor, hello?
I opened the
Yeah,
floodgate.
sorry to butt in.
Yeah.
Sorry to butt in. I have one more question actually.
Sure.
How do you actually relate your project to your audiences if the project is not really relatable to your to most people?
Okay. Can I give an example? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. First, I would like to ask you this: what can you build, or what can you do with your findings? That's one thing I want to probably ask you, and probably you can find the answer yourself. And then the next thing is, ask yourself, what is the most unexpected thing from your research? Example, yeah, some astrophysicists, they've done great research. If you see their math and physics, it's mind blowing. But yeah, like you said, how do I tell people about black holes when some of us have just watch it on TV, and then we don't have any strong space presence in Malaysia, whatever. So in that case, find something that is unexpected in your research. For example, I can say this: for thousands of years, since I can say for hundreds of years, people believe that stars is always shiny. Here comes a black hole. It's a star, but it's not shiny. I'm just giving a silly example there. But instead of thinking about how to build it, how to do what to do with your research, you can create a question, unexpected things. You can just make up stories. Like, for example, people have been thinking, not make up stories, I mean these are true, but bring out that reality in front of people. People have been thinking that black holes doesn't do anything to our universe. It turns out that such and such. Okay, so I give you the two questions to think about yourself. What can you build or you can do with your research? Next thing is, what is the most unexpected things that you find in your research? If you can't find it, create a question that is going to make people, I haven't thought of that. Yeah, I don't know much about black holes, but that's interesting to think about. Something like that. I cannot come up with a good question like on top of my head right now, but those two. And if you want to add one, if you don't do this, what's going to happen to the world, for example? Okay, try to ask yourself these two questions, and hopefully you can find some answers on that one. All right. So let's look at how to speak. I told you just now, two things that you need a good storytelling, two skills: speak and how to visualize. When you're speaking, when you start, do not start with a joke. Don't start with a joke. Hey, do you know why the chicken crossed the road? Don't start with a joke, because people hasn't warmed up with you yet. Okay, and sometimes what if your joke falls flat? Then your whole presentation, people won't have any confidence in it. Don't start with a joke. Don't start with a have you ever wondered? Don't start with have you ever wondered? Because what if I'm listening to you, have you ever wondered? And then I say, no, I haven't wondered about that. So the next is not going to be as interesting. Okay. Instead, if you're asking, have you ever wondered, just pose the question. So if I can show you here, there is some I will give this link to you later on. Effective openings. You know, you can give your listeners a problem to think about, or give them some amazing facts like the black holes just now. Give them the story or some personal experience like what Dr. Yasmin did for her 3MT presentation, or give some a thing to think about. Hey, what's this? Like the Rosanna just now, just giving a blank presentation. People wondering, hey, what's this? Tak siap ke apa ke? Okay, use this one. Problem, facts ataupun story. Start with a problem, ataupun start with a fact, or start with a personal story. All right. You can also start with a promise, but this is only for like if you're doing like a lecture or a long speech. For example, at the end of this lecture, you will be able to. Okay, that's starting with a promise. Okay, but I would suggest start with a problem, start with a fact, amazing fact, or facts that make people wonder, or start with a story. All right, that's how to start. How to end? Okay, you can end. I think your last word can always be thank you, but don't ever thank you for listening, because it's a weak move. It's okay, but it's weak. Thank you for listening. It's as if the judges are there just to sit there and listen to your presentation, and then they're not really interested, but they just stay for the sake of just staying. Just say thank you, or you can end it with like I said just now. If we do this right, then we're gonna make a better world. Or you can say majulah sukan untuk negara. That's a strong end. Don't say the end ataupun finish. No, that's not how you end. Okay, so end with the hook. Just now told you about the hook. So in this thing that I will give you later on, there will be some examples on conclusion, but some of these I would rather not use. Don't use this. That completes my presentation. No. As a final point, it's a weak move also. That covers just about everything I wanted to say. Nah, that's a weak move. Oh, this is not good. Well, this me to be. Nah, this is not good also. I'm approaching the. No, this is not good. Making recommendations is good. Okay. We therefore strongly recommend that, in my opinion, we should, based on figures we have, something like this. Don't start with this. No, I don't think this can be used. So even if I give this to you later on, there are some of these things you gotta discriminate some of these things. Okay, so that's how to end. End with a suggestion, or end with a slogan. Majulah sukan untuk negara, berilmu berbakti. It's a good way. Now, okay, techniques. I'm gonna delete all this. Hope you write it down. Okay. It's always good if you attend an online course, whatever, online lecture like this, write it down. Don't expect the slides at the end. I'm sorry. Okay. Techniques. Okay. This is what I taught Jia Yong a lot. Okay. Vary your dynamics of your talking. Most mistakes people do, students basically do, they treat this presentation like a pidato. Hari ini saya akan so it's all like very high level, the meters all red. If you see Elina's presentation just now, she varies that. Oh, when it's good news. Good news. But bad news is this. But there's still hope. No, use facial expression, very dynamic. Jangan cakap macam semua nak high je. It's not a pidato. Very dynamic. Your presentation is not a pidato. Okay, it's not the Hari Merdeka speech. Okay, it's not belanjawan speech either. Anywho, not pidato. Ramai student buat mistake ni. They ingat projection is important. Vary the dynamics. Okay. How to vary dynamics? Use pause often. Because when you use pause, people pay attention. Kenapa dia berhenti? Begitu. Kan, contoh macam tu. Pause is useful because sometimes you want to slow it down. You are giving too much facts, you got to slow down. Use pause. A perfect way to use pause is when you ask question and then pause. Jangan pause lama sangat, nanti pause lama sangat dah 5 minit habis. So, ask question, pause, give answer. So this is a technique that we use a lot. Pause and then answer. Answer yourself. So this is a big problem. How are we going to solve it? The way we're going to solve it is, see, there's a slight pause there. Make people digest your question first. Okay, well, digest what you're asking. Like you're asking, what do you put in your coffee? Itu jawapan dia. I put 2 cubes of sugar in my coffee. Let people digest your question first.
Ya, berapa kan? 35. Tadi dia tulis itu.
Terus apa tu? Boleh turn off mic jap.
Dah.
Okay. All right. So that's the question. Ask question. So how are we going to solve this? Let them digest first the question. Make them think, macam ni kita nak buat ni ya. And then you give the answer. Jangan tunggu orang jawab. It's not a lecture. Okay. So you can say, it's just simple question like, okay, so what? Pause. Answer lah. Okay. Okay, now we got a problem. So what? The reason we were, short question je, tak payah soalan panjang-panjang. Okay. Ataupun cakap, then what? Macam tu je. So what's the, any question short enough to get the attention, clear enough so that they can digest the question, like, betul juga, kenapa? Give some pause so for them to digest the question and then answer that question yourself. That's a technique on how to retain their attention. Okay. And then some of the techniques here, avoid long words. So this is one, use pause, ask question. Avoid long words. Macam saya kata tadi, avoid long words about saying too much numbers. Instead, two numbers. Okay. Numbers. And then techniques use facial expression. Macam Elina tadi. I think she won because of that, how she, speaks. The way the techniques she used to combine facial expression, gestures, and the technique lah. Now, lastly, hand gestures. The mistake that people usually do is too much hand gestures. Too much. So right now, I'm thinking about how to speak and how to start. Here, we're going to have some a bit technique, and we have about 9 elements in which 3 don't use too much because it's going to distract people from what you're going to talk about. Use it sparingly. Even I think just now Elena was kind of, I guess I'm a bit too much because I see some students who always do that. When people say use gestures to, to accentuate your speech, use it sparingly. Okay. You don't have to be like, some people, use it sparingly. If you don't know what to do with your hands, just you can put it on the table or you can just do this. This is the thinking posture. So what do we do? Don't overuse this. This is like Jordan Peterson, banyak sangat buat ini. And then especially when you want to show numbers, we got 4 options. One, you got that one boleh. Okay. Again, when I say you avoid long words, use simple words that people can identify it the first time. And also check your pronunciation. If you know there are certain words, you know, every word in your script, you got to know how to pronounce it right. For example, yang selalu salah, determine, D-E-T-E-R-M-I-N-E. Ramai orang cakap determine. Patutnya determine, for example. So make sure you know how to pronounce each word on your transcript. Check on internet, whatever, how to talk about, how to speak out those words. Okay, techniques, bukan techniques. Contohnya lah, All right, check pronunciation, pronunciation. This is really important. If you pronounce it wrong, it's going to be a wrong word. Okay, pronunciation, important. That's so far how to actually deal with how to speak. All right, let's see if there's anything on my, okay. Another thing is, do not also in your, if you can say it, don't put it on your slides. All right, most of the skills are in your how you speak out. Okay, and here's on how to visualize. I mentioned two just now, yeah? How to speak and how to visualize. Now, how to visualize. I'm going to show you some examples. Oh, we're almost 6 o'clock now. I'm going to show you examples here of what to do, okay? Now, this is just what I've explained just now. Okay, the pitch again. How to visualize. Okay, visualization helps what you're going to talk about. It's not a pamphlet, brochure. Don't treat it like a pamphlet or brochure. Don't treat it like a class notes. It's not an infographics. Because you are going to end up with a really complex visual. No one can, because no one can read. Okay, the one thing that I learned is people only have one language processor. It's either they read or see or they listen. They cannot do both at the same time. Believe me, they cannot listen and see at the same time. They are going to either process what they see or process what they hear. So rule of thumb is pick one diagram, graph, or photo. If you want to pick more, at most 3. Don't make it more. Okay. Rule of thumb is it can be understood in 5 seconds. If I see your picture, your slide in 5 seconds, I can understand what you're talking about. That's great. Write this down. Pick one diagram, graph, photo. At most 3. I'll show you examples. Yeah. This is an example of a picture that I think can, well, actually this will take more than 5 seconds to actually read. But you can, the way you do it is you need to take out some of this. Okay, some of these things. Don't put too much words. Okay, and then just highlight on this one and say highlights. Okay. Oh, I think I should put here. Okay. No, not too much words. Not because you are presenting your slide not for people to read, but people to watch, people to see. Okay, not too much words. Okay, this one is too much words. Cut out some things. You know, this is a good one. The reason I say infographics is usually infographics takes a longer time to digest. So this is another example. It's a Venn diagram. We can use Venn diagrams. No worries. Platypus with a guitar plus duck with a keyboard. You can get a platypus with a guitar. Here's another good example of a slide you can use. Flattening the curve. Simple. Just one graph, not too much here. Even I would say that this is too many words. Okay, but it's really simple. What you want to show is this: the difference between this thing and this thing. Okay, another example It's global real home price index. What you're trying to show is not this, not these numbers. What you're trying to show is this. What you're trying to show is this graph right here. Why it's coming down, why is this graph going up? That's your story. This is an example of using graphs. Okay, you can even delete all this. Okay, people are not going to read this, delete it. Okay, this is too small, too small. Make it bigger, make it clearer. Okay, tell the story. Here lies the story. Here lies the story. Okay, another example here. Here's an example of you showing 3 pictures. You can see straight away, 2005, there's not much going on. 2010, more lands are being used for whatever. 2015, oh no. Here, maybe you want to talk about deforestation, for example. This is a good example. People can see straight away. You're going to talk about deforestation, for example, or using satellite images, or you can want to see about urbanization, for example. Clear. Let's say you put, this is your product, always include people because it touches their emotions, your judge's emotions. It's good. See people happy, smile, people smile, happy, people here smile. Your product, people smiling at it, it's a good advertising image. Use it to your advantage. If you don't have it right now, please hire your friends or whatever to be the smiling guy. You can see straight away the message I'm getting here is your product is benefiting to the people. I call this product and the people. Next. Oh, sorry. Product and what I did with it. This is your invention, whatever, and this is what you can do with it. Cool stuff. You can watch things under microscope. It's like a microscope. Product and what I did with it. This is a no-no. This is always what I see. 1 here. Too many things. Too many cartoons. And it's different colors and different... I don't know what this is doing. I don't know what this shows. It's too small. I don't know how to read this. It's too small. What is this? What is this? I don't know what I'm trying to show. And then you got text here. People are going to take more than 10 seconds to read this text here before it's too late. Whatever. You can always say this. You don't need this. Another one is, this looks nice, but too long to read. If people look at this, people won't be listening to you. No, again, this one, point form. Again, too many words. And if it's in point form, people are not going to read this. No, no, no. Just say it. Process, this, I always see this. Again, it looks cool, it shows the process, but it is comprehensive. But I rather you can just show the one that you are. You can show the whole thing, but make it small, make it non-significant, and the one that you're doing is significant. You can say, oh, filter, I'm working on this one. Make this big, make this colorful, make the other gray, small, and non-significant. Okay, this is also a no-no. And this one is obvious lah. Siapa nak baca benda ni? Dah dengan it looks maybe cool to you, but to others, I can't read this. It's too many words. I won't be listening. I won't be watching this. Okay. All right. So I will end this with homework. Okay. I'm just going to copy this to the chat box, and then hopefully you can do this homework later on. So that is it for my presentation today. Majulah sukan untuk negara. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salahuddin. Okay, majulah sukan untuk negara. So, anyone have any question?
Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay, so the homework is already in the chat box.
In the chat box.
Okay. Yeah, and then yeah, so we are open for Q&A session now.
Saya terlebih masa yang alamak banyak pula tu.
So we will be like maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
If no one have any question, then maybe we consider that's the end of the session. You can just ask anything, maybe just ask anything that Dr. Salahuddin maybe did not present, did not ask. Sorry,
Okay.
did not share today.
Mhm.
Okay, anything related to your for you to prepare for the competition.
Ask me anything, Cewa. Tips ke, kalau ada masalah ke, kalau ada macam topik yang macam tak tahu apa nak visualize, I can give suggestion maybe.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, Dr. Salahuddin. Yeah, I
Hi.
have one more question regarding slides. Actually, okay. For slides, how do you actually can you help me out to visualize on what is the most efficient way of making a single static slide?
Most efficient? You mean the what do you mean way?
As in, like, okay, like for example, previously you actually shared examples of slides that which is not good. Like, too much wording, too many pictures, but no explanation, and etc. So I still don't really get the gist on how do you make a good static slide actually.
Okay. Okay, I would rather tell you what not to do. What not to do is don't make a slide that with too much words, because people are not going to read your slides, or even if they do read your slide, they're not going to listen to what you're talking about. So avoid words like text, wall of text. Okay. And then also the rule of thumb is, if I see your slide and I can understand what you're doing in just 5 seconds or at most like 10 seconds while you're giving your introduction, and people can watch your slide, what is she talking about? Oh, okay, she's talking about palm oil extractor, whatever. She was talking about some statistical results of some problems. That's okay. So that's the rule of thumb. You can use either, you can point out the graph. So do it like this. You look at the first, you can find any charts. That's good. Graph, any charts, any histogram, or any time histories, or any let's say, for example, you do any if you come up with some nice visuals out of your mathematical expressions, whatever, use that. But keep it just one, and then from that, find that in your thesis or your paper, for example, just one that represents your whole work. Just find one. And then you pick the points where you pick on that, probably the graph just now, I show you just the global house prices now. There's a point where I can tell the stories about, how things are going down at this moment, how things are going up. So choose one graph that can represent your research. Okay, let's say you don't have graph or you don't have any charts. If you're doing a product, for example, you have FYP, you have a product. Again, use either the product and the people formulation, or product and what I did with it. Okay. Example, let's say you create a super broom that can, wipe off any type of dirt. Okay. You can show the broom, and when people are using it, smiling. Think about billboards, something like that. And people are going to see, oh yeah, you are inventing a type of super broom or something, and people are using it and they're happy about it. You can use that, product and people, or product and what you have done with it. You create a machine, for example, a sugarcane juice extractor, and then on the side you can show a fresh, delicious glass of sugarcane juice. You can do that. So if you don't have graph, for example, or you can be creative, like you show problems, like I said just now. You can use that picture, that slide, to use a problem, and you want to talk about a problem and you want to offer a solution. Okay. Or just now, like what Rosanna showed you, that's just totally creative, like out of the left field kind of things to do. So think about use that as the weapon. It's not that that's the main thing, or your speech is the main thing, but use that to help what you're going to speak about, and treat it like a billboard instead of a brochure. So I can say that that would be the gist of what I would say about the visualization. What are you doing? What topic are you doing?
Sorry, come again?
Apa topik awak buat?
Oh, I'm actually doing pilot cable.
Pilot cable?
Pilot cable fault detection.
For?
Fault detection.
Fault detection.
Fault detection.
Tunjuklah gambar fault tu.
So that's why lah. As in what I actually found from my pictures is that I can give waveforms.
Waveform? Orang boleh faham tak waveform?
Lah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the problem. I'm worried if they would have understood what the waveforms.
Buat dua waveform, satu yang okay, satu yang tak okay.
Actually, okay. That's also possible.
Yep.
I mean plausible.
So this is waveform that's okay, and this is not okay. So I found a way to find out what's not okay. I know.
Okay, thank you, Shafiq. Anyone else have any question?
Yep.
Okay, we have one from Hisham. Hisham, do you want to unmute yourself?
How to apply, Hisham, how to apply these tips for academic areas such as master or PhD research presentation. Sometimes we have many information that is important and cannot be ignored and cannot be presented in a graph. It depends on what kind of presentation. If you are presenting for Viva, for example, then probably you're going to have to show all the important results. But I would rather, there's a method called snowflake method. Snowflake ni, you know how snowflake looks like, yeah? Snowflake looks like, hold on, let me share my screen. Snowflake looks like this. Snowflake meaning that you think of the three big keys of your research. Three main thing of your research. All right. Think about the three main thing. Just force yourself to think about, okay, if I can say three things about my thesis, what would it be? Okay. So you see here, let's say here are the 6 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then from this one key idea, you talk about the three other things about that topic. Topic. All right. But what's important is you have to know the three big ideas of your thesis first. Actually, there's another practice of, usually when there's a culture when I was doing a PhD, there's a macam pertandingan lah. Can you tell us about your PhD thesis in one sentence? So if you can do that, that means you understand your research. And usually when we work on to create that one sentence, it kind of, the process of coming up with that one sentence, you know, you kind of cover everything what you need to know about the research. I think there's a famous politician, I think it was William Churchill or probably John Kennedy, something like that. Say, I can give presentation for 3 hours, no problem. I can give a speech for 3 hours, no problem. But when you say give a speech for 5 minutes, that's a problem. So it is a challenge to do that, and it needs a lot of practice. But a good way to do it is find out three most important things that you're going to show to your supervisors, whatever, students. And then once you know what the three things are, and then you kind of know what to explain more and stuff like that. Always try to start from the simplest one, and that's actually the hardest.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Hisham, for the question. Yeah, actually, there's one quote from Albert Einstein saying that he can't explain it simply.
Oh yes, I like that one.
Well enough. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Okay, I would consider that maybe no. Okay, please stay. We are going to have a photo session, but let me give a brief reminder. Okay, so the registration is still open until 28th of November. So please share it with your friends. And then the next workshop will be on 29th November, and we will have Dr. Ashwin Charles with us. Okay, and then on 3rd December is where your semi-final, which you have to submit your recording. So make sure to record it nicely, you know, the portion, all of the tips that shared by Dr. Salahuddin and also Dr. Margaret on our previous session. And yeah, and then the finalists we will share the finalists who will attend the fourth grooming workshop, and we will meet Dr. Salahuddin again in that fourth workshop. Okay. Okay. So I think yeah, it's come to the end now. Can we have a photo session with everyone? So I hope that everyone can open your camera and also have the background.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Tell us when we are ready.
Okay, ready? Yeah. Okay, smile. Smile. So those wearing masks, you really have to wear the mask, is it?
Huh? Really?
Okay.
No.
Okay. So because you're still at the office, at your workstation, is it? Okay. Okay, guys. Smile. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna take the picture now. So we have actually 3 panels. So just stay until I have all of them captured. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Next. Pin. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the last one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait, one more. Can we have just one more picture with a thumbs up? 2 thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay.
Okay, thumbs up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys. Okay, very good.
Okay, Ma.
Okay, very beautiful, guys. Okay, very sporting, everyone. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Okay, thank you very much again, Dr.
Sure.
Salahuddin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, everyone.
Can I give just give last advice? 3 things, yeah. 3 things. Watch what others are doing. Practice, 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 and get feedback from others. Just 3 things. So if I get given just a few seconds, do this thing. Watch others, practice, 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 get feedback from others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salahuddin. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a good evening. Assalamualaikum.
Bye-bye. Salam. All right. Salam. Thank you.